Hello, this is Julie. I was asked how I made this scalloped lattice heart, so I thought I'd show you how to do it and make the cut. First thing I do is go up to Basic Shapes and type in HE to get a heart. I selected Heart 1. You could select whichever one you want. I'll resize it to a width of 4.5. You can resize according to your needs, and after it's done you could resize it again if you need to. Now what I need is to make two more hearts. The first one will serve as the lattice, the second one will serve as the rhinestone, and the third one will serve as the outside heart. So to duplicate that heart, I go to Edit, Duplicate, and Nested Duplicate. I need two additional ones, so I put 2 in the count, and I'd like a 1/4 inch gap between each of them. And I'm going to do the duplicates that are mitered because I want to keep this shape in the larger ones. I don't want them rounded or scaled. And I put the different colors here just so that I can see the different hearts once they're done. And when I click on preview, I can get an idea of how they look, and they look good to me that way, so I'm going to click accept. So the first thing I'm going to do on these is select them all. They're all on the same layer. I'm going to right click on this new layer and send to each its own. So they'll each go on their own layer, and that will allow me to manipulate them later as I need to. So I'll select this smallest heart first, click on the lattice icon, which is the third from the right on the bottom, and set the width however I like it. This is the width that I was using here. If I apply preview, I can see the lattice design here. Now if I want to change the width of the lattice, I click on it and use my arrow key, tap it, and I can see another arrangement of these. And the arrangement to me is important. If I make it too small by clicking on the left arrow, I get this gap at the bottom that I don't like, but maybe I could click it one more time. Preview. Well, that looks pretty good. I'm trying to get a good look of the lattice around the edge. I'll try it one more, tap left and preview, and you can just play with it until you get it looking the way you want. That's the width of these lines. It's pretty narrow, and if you don't want them to tear with fine paper, you might want to make them thicker. Now I'm going to click the gap and use my arrow and apply that. I think I like that a little better. Let's see what happens if I increase that a little bit more. I don't like the look of that at the bottom. If I increase it some more, looks okay. And you can continue to adjust these, the spacing, and stop when you get a look that you like. So once you have that, the design the way you want it, you click on accept. And what I'm going to do is hide that layer now by clicking on the eye of the lattice layer. Now I'm going to turn this heart into a rhinestone. So I'm going to click on the second icon from the right on the bottom. You can select the stone size. That determines the size of the circles. I chose a size SS13, and I put the spacing about 0.09. You can check that, see if you like it, and preview it on the mat. I see that I have a little bit of a spacing issue there. If you want to change the spacing, click on the slider and tap the arrow one way or another, and these don't line up too well at top and bottom, so I'll just click it again and preview. Maybe one more time. Now this looks pretty lined up at the top, this is lined up at the bottom, and these are all evenly spaced. You can always adjust these afterwards if you like. Maybe I'll try one more to the left. That was a little bit too much, so I'll go back to the right. And you can change the spacing by moving the slider up here. I have selected outline shapes and delete the original. So I've like it how it is, so I'm going to accept that. And if you want to change the positions of any of these, you can select the split icon, which is 5th from the left on the bottom. And perhaps I just want to slightly tap that one over, and maybe I want to tap that one over to the right. Once I'm happy with it, I'm going to select all those again and join using this middle icon that has the two arrows pointing together. And I like that, so I'm going to hide that layer now. And now I'm going to work with the outside layer. To make these scallops around the edge, I'm going to go back to basic shapes, and I'm going to grab the arc, block arc, by typing in ARC under Fine and double click the block arc. Oops, look what happened, it went to a hidden layer. So I'm going to Control Z, undo that, and I'm going to add a new layer. So I get a new layer at the top where I can add that block arc and it won't be hidden. So I have it here, it's a little bit too large. So with the gold lock icon on, I'm going to resize this to 0.5 because I like that size of an arc. You can use whatever size you want. Now I'm going to wrap this arc to the path of the heart. To wrap an object to a path, you hold the Control key and drag the shape over the edge of the design until the cursor changes to a heart, circle, and triangle. Then you release the mouse and the Control key, and you tell it how many times you want to repeat. It'll remember what you used the last time. Well, the last time I chose 27. If I back this off, you'll see that it starts taking away shapes. So you can just click on this until it fills up your shape. Then you want to adjust the spacing so that everything lines up the way you want. I have the offset, which determines where the shape started filling, and then the vertical alignment affects how high off of the shape it is. Now I have it on 70%, but if I click this and tap it over, let's say to the right, to make it a little higher off the heart, I get a little bit bigger scallops, but I do want to make sure that all of the scallops are still touching the heart because I'm going to weld them together. Now I can increase the spacing if they're not exactly spaced right, but they look pretty good to me, so I'm going to leave it right at 100%. This spacing is 0.00 minus 0.002, so they're slightly overlapping, which is fine because they'll connect that way. Once I have them the way I want them, I just click Accept. I don't want to weld anything yet. I could, but before I weld them, I'd like to make sure that this pink heart is on top, and I right click and move layer to the top. And the reason is that the shape, when you weld shapes, they take the color of the shape that's on top. It looks pretty good, so I'm going to click on the weld icon. It's in the middle of the bottom toolbar, and there's my scallop shape. Now I'm going to get rid of some of these empty layers by clicking on the trash can. Now I'm going to click on the eyeball and show all. What I want to do is make sure that my lattice goes up a layer and that my rhinestones go up a layer. I'm going to select all of them and join them. And now I have a lattice design. I have a few little pieces down here that I didn't anticipate having. If I can zoom in on those, I'll type 4 and 3. 4 zooms into 300% and 3 centers on the selection. You see these little holes down here. I don't particularly care for those. Now I could have taken care of that with my lattice when I was making it, but I can fix that by selecting everything. This arrow selects all. I don't really want to select all though, because I have another shape over on the right that I didn't want to mess up. But what I'm going to do is just click on this top shape now, which is the shape we're working with. To select it, I'm going to select break. What that does is it allows me to click on each one of these little pieces that I don't want and delete. Just hitting the delete key. And if at this time you see any of these little circles that look like they need to be adjusted, you can move them around also, because everything is ungrouped or separated right now. Now I'm going to select these again and this time join, and it takes them back. I see a little dot there, so I'm going to undo the join. I'm going to click on that little dot, select it and delete. Now I'm going to click on the icon again to select it and join, and now I have my lattice. I can inspect it to make sure everything overlapped as it should. If I have little tiny shapes here that I don't want to cut, I could get rid of those, but they're part of the design shaping the edge of the heart, so I think I'll leave them in there. And I can change the color by clicking on the color box on the layer and selecting the color that I want. So now you see I've got my scalloped heart. You can make one any size you want with the spacing of the rhinestones, the size of the scallops, and I'd love to see what you do with it. Thanks for watching.